Hello and welcome everyone to Aussie Tech Security episode 2. How did you guys like the first episode? Very good, I hope. All right, well, we're back. This is episode 2. And once again, Roger, how you doing?
Good, I'm doing very well, thanks, Grant.
Excellent stuff. Good to hear. Now, we've got a couple of items that we're going to get through this episode. Pretty much a round like surrounding creating a framework for your business security. Or, you know, if you don't have a business, you can put home in there instead. Because everyone needs business/home security.
Very true, very true.
Very true. Now, where do we want to start? Let's start with, I suppose, the question that I would have in my mind is why would someone want to hack into me? Like, I've got a small business, probably nothing of importance data-wise, but why would someone think, oh, I'm going to hack into Glenn's computer?
Well, it's not so much what you have, it's what they can use. Actually, I just did a presentation to the Law Society in New South Wales, and one of those questions why would they target me? And the reason why the hackers are after you is because they can monitorize your technology for themselves.
Right.
And each component of what you do in the digital world has got a price. For instance, what we class as not important, things like if they had access to your Netflix account, if they have access to your Gmail account, if they have access to any other account that you use a computer or a smart device to access, then they can monitorize that to a level where they can make a fairly substantial amount of money out of just your technology.
Right. So how do you mean? How do they monetize it? Like, what do? Do they sell something, or are they using your CPU power to compute something?
Well, a bit of both, actually. If they pick up usernames and passwords, they can sell them in the dark web, just by going to chat groups and chat rooms and literally putting up things for sale. And you'd be surprised how once they have control of your technology, that they can actually use it in other attacks on other people. If they have access to your email account and you think you have nothing of value, they can access things like your PayPal account, because your PayPal account is linked to your email address. Your email address then becomes a little bit more valuable to them. And this is what people really forget is we've got all of these accounts out there, and certain of those accounts are really critical to who you are. Because they are critical to who you are, they are valuable to the hacker.
Right. So, yeah, because I've always heard that your email password must be the most secure password. Do you agree with that?
I do agree. When it comes to passwords, the thing you've got to remember with passwords is every site needs a password if you have created an account. And if you're using a password that is live for every other account, then some nondescript website in the background might get hacked. But they now have your username and password combination, and their automated systems then go, let's try it against all of these other 40 billion websites that are out there.
Yes.
And it's not so much the hackers, the 1% who are the people who actually know what they're doing. It's the other 98% who are just doing it for the fun of it. And they run automated systems, they plug all this information in, which is actually backed by the hackers. And they then use that information to come up with targets specifically for the larger hacks.
Do you know, this is like a question without notice, but do you have any ideas, say, how long it would take a hacker or a script kiddie to throw, say, the whole Oxford Dictionary of words at a site to see if one logged in?
At the moment, you can hack a password if you can get near the system that's got it. Not so much. Most systems have got a three tries and you're out.
Yeah.
But if you can get around that system, then they can use all the words in the dictionary, and it'll take about 7 minutes in today's technology.
Right. Jeez.
Um,
Yeah.
On top of that, they also have a thing called a salt, which is actually a combination of letters, characters, numbers, and everything else that you can think of, that is actually a bigger database than the actual dictionary.
Right.
And that's now they're capable of hacking a 5-letter password with that combination in about 4 days. So,
Jeez.
yeah, we're getting to the stage where 5 is not a good number for a password.
Right.
We're looking at anything that has critical information should be 10 to 15 letters in the password.
Right.
And that will protect you probably for the next 5 years before the technology catches up and makes it capable.
So if you start adding non-alphanumeric characters in, does that strengthen it a great deal?
It does strengthen it a great deal, but I think that the thing you've got to understand is, yes, it strengthens it, but the more they have, the harder it is to crack. So the more letters in a password, then the longer it's going to take to get through as a brute force attack.
Yes, right. So just out of matter of interest, do you have different passwords for every of your sites that you've...
Yes, I have a combination that I use.
Oh, yes.
And what we literally tell people is, to create a complex password, you need to come up with a phrase. It doesn't really matter what phrase it is. I use every Saturday I play golf as an example, right? So every Saturday I play golf.
Yep.
I take the letters of those 5 words.
Yep.
I then put a space in the front of it.
Right.
I change the I into a 1.
Yes.
I make one of the letters capitals, and I put a
Something.
dollar sign or a hash at the end. So I've now got 7 characters that I'm going to remember because it's every Saturday I play golf.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
now I've got 7 characters. Now if I go to Gmail, I can put every Saturday I play golf, Gmail. Now I can remember that.
Yes, right.
Okay, because it's an easy thing. It's my password, my
Yes.
specific password, and wherever the site is.
Yes.
And it's also because the automated systems are not going to take those complexities into account. You're not using my every Saturday I play golf, which is, if I use that as a password, it wouldn't be hard to crack. But
Right,
because I've added the extra characters,
Yes.
then it's now become an 8 character or a 10 character or a 15 character, and you can literally sit there and go, every Saturday I play golf. Microsoft, for instance.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
so you've got those combinations, and if you want to make that tighter, you put in Microsoft with a 0 as the O, and that again you make it even more complex. But you can always remember it.
Yes. So do you subscribe to the software or the tools like LastPass?
Yes.
And similar things? So you
I
got no problem?
I use LastPass because we do a lot of work with websites, and I think you do too as well, Glenn. And because they send us passwords that are already complex, they're already 8 characters long, and when we're setting up those websites, we need to keep the complexity. And if that complexity comes down, we can then get it. Make sure, but LastPass makes sure that I can remember those complex passwords without having to resort to writing them down or keeping the email and all that sort of stuff as well.
So I've seen a bit of a trend lately when you log into sites that they use your username as your email.
Yes.
This would be what would be a security take on that? Less secure, more secure?
Again, it comes down to we all have a email address, and because that it just gives them that one part of
That's
the
right,
combination already. The other alternative is if you've got a domain and you have the capability of adding aliases to your email address, then you can have things like Twitter @ and then have a complex password on top of that. So if you're going to go to Twitter, for instance, or you're going to go to Gmail, or you're going to go to, I don't know, any other a news site, then you can have an alias that comes to you that is addressed to you, but is unique to that website.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is you can also track down people who are either compromised because emails from that site suddenly start appearing as spam.
Right.
So you can sit there and go, I just received a number of emails from news, for instance.
Yep.
And they didn't come from the news site, but they were addressed to news at, which actually then gives you the idea that either they've been compromised or they've actually sold your email address to someone else.
Right.
And it does give you that extra capability in the background that you'll be able to say, okay, now I know what's going on. Let's have a look at what we can do about it.
All right. So why, when someone does hack into me, say they can hack into my actual computer
Yes.
at my office, not my website or anything like that, because there'd be nothing there that they could get. But so they find their way through I suppose I have a default firewall in the router.
Yes.
So they've found their way through, and I've passworded it pretty good.
Yes.
But they've still found their way through by hacking the password, I would imagine.
Not necessarily. You'd be surprised how they actually get in. 90% of access to systems is through spam, targeted phishing attacks, and spear phishing. It's not actually through them hacking into a system and then hacking into another system to hack into your computer, because to them that's way too difficult. Whereas if they send you an email and they've done a bit of social engineering and research on who you are and what you do, they will tailor an email that will actually pique your interest to make you want to click on the link.
Right.
Okay, for instance, if I sent you an email that says we'd like you as a public speaker at an event, and it's on technology and the event is real, then the chances are that you will click on that link that you would put in there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that's what people forget about the cyber criminal, is they are very, very clever when it comes to understanding not only technology but humans as well. And that's
Yes. Yeah, I had an email the other day just talking of that, and I thought it started off, you've been nominated for a business award, and all this sort of stuff. And there was not too much detail, so I went to the website and had a look, and I went, oh, they've got awards going, but look, it looks fair income, it's got the privacy terms and conditions. It looks like it's a fair income thing. So I did. I responded to it. So let's hope it's okay.
Whoops. But again, that's how they look. There's really is two different levels. There's the genuine crap you get as spam,
yes.
which is bad English, Nigerian princes, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's there's actually three. Then there's the semi-real ones, like Crypto Locker, for instance, which comes through as ATO or post office.
Yes.
And then you've got the real targeted attacks that are specifically at people. And those targeted ones, that link that you asked for or you've been told to go to, will then be directing you to a website that will install malware on your computer.
Yeah.
That's when you've been hacked.
Well, I had just off track slightly. I had a phone call yesterday. It was obviously a robot call from the ATO saying that they're going to sue me.
Ah, yes, I had that as well, and it took me about a day and a half to realise A, they wouldn't abuse you, because they did abuse you,
Yes.
and B, they wouldn't come to you with that level of angst and not actually give you a 1300 number. I actually got rung up by the real ATO, and they said, well, you need to contact us, and this is the 1300 number, and when you call us, you need to quote your tax file number.
Yes.
And that's again, it takes it to the next level, because they've thought about what they want you to ring the ATO, so they're only going to give you the 1300 number.
Yeah.
But anything that's not a 1300 number,
Yeah.
then if it's a 02 number, then I would seriously go, no, thank you.
Yeah, it was ridiculous because I was a sus from the start. There was an American lady speaking to start with, and then the number she left, it started with a 2, and I'm thinking, well, you obviously mean 02. And you're probably reading it from Nigeria, where it's got probably the +612. So she's taken off the +61. But I thought, this is a scam. But anyway, so someone gets into my computer, through my firewall. So they're obviously after bank accounts, blah blah blah, whatever. But and how do they then once they're in? How would they navigate around the computer? to find what they're looking for? Will I see screens flashing and things popping up and down and all this, or is it all
You
stealth?
can do. There's two thoughts of how this happens. One is that initial targeted email is going to not only it doesn't do that much. What it does is it sets itself up, maybe sets up a keylogger in the background, but its main process is to call home.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It literally sits there and goes, I need to call home. And when you're not doing anything with your computer and it's sitting there being very quiet and you're not in the room,
Yeah.
it will then download stuff that will then compromise your system.
Right.
That's when systems are looked at as they literally scan everything for cookies that you've used, emails that you received. All of that information to them is now something that they can then utilize to compromise you.
Yeah, so they get okay. So who do they give this information to? Are they using it themselves? Like, are they, say, logging into your bank? But the banks are pretty secure.
Most of them are, yes, and you need two. Most of them have got two levels of security and maybe a third one. Some banks have got fobs or SMS to your phone and all that
Yes.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Those types of systems are relatively secure, but I can guarantee your PayPal account isn't.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
if you've got a PayPal account, if they can then get in there and go, well, we can now charge this person because we got the right information.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
But
right.
they're not so much getting the information off the computer. Most of the time, you will, on a compromised computer, you will go to PayPal and put in your username and password, and you will use a keyboard, keylog that information goes back to the nasties in the background.
Yes.
And that happens across the board. Anything that you put into your keyboard will then be recorded. It'll be uploaded to the command and control system, and you'd be surprised how sophisticated the back ends of these attacks are, because they do use encryption and they use 2048 encryption or better, so that anything that's leaving your computer is going through on port 443, so it looks like encrypted web traffic.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for any system to get in the way and actually interrogate that information.
So what would you recommend to, say, get around these keylogs? It's just your normal antivirus software?
Most antivirus will pick them up. Most antivirus will pick up what's going on, but on top of that, that's in real time. The other thing about antivirus is you need to do a regular scan. And people go, oh, yeah, but if I do that, it's just taking time and it's
slowing the computer.
slows down the computer and all that sort of rubbish. The trouble is, what happens with a scan is it downloads the newest update from the antivirus.
Yep.
From there, it will then go, I'm now going to scan the computer, depending on how you set up your scans, and it will then look at all of the systems that you have downloaded since the last time you did a scan.
Right.
By having the newest version, you may catch things that were downloaded that were not seen or not capable in the previous incarnation of the antivirus.
Yeah.
So you then have an idea, a way of making sure that you are relatively well protected in that respect. But most antivirus have a real-time scanner.
Right.
And
Yes.
that is, they look at websites, they look at traffic coming into your computer. They also look at things like email as well, and they will actually pop up with nasty messages whenever they actually integrate themselves into your system.
So it must be hard for these antiviruses to keep on top of everything that's coming out.
Yeah, well, they reckon there's somewhere between 40 and 60,000 new variations of malware created every day. So heuristic scanning is still the only way you can protect yourself.
Yes.
Because heuristic scan will look at a derivative of a piece of malware and go, that's sort of similar. We might classify that as malware until we can say, well, it's not.
Yeah, you're right. Because I know Malware Bytes does a heuristic scan.
Yep.
And that's where it picks up a lot. I've found that so sort of charges in and finds most of the potential problems. Yeah.
Yes.
So I know that's a pretty good one. So if I think someone's been into the computer, can I tell if anything's been taken
Not really, no. The best thing you can do if you get a virus, and I think you probably do this as well, is we recommend to all of our clients that you actually rebuild the computer from scratch.
Right.
The reason why we do that is it doesn't matter how good the antivirus is or how good Malwarebytes is. If you've been compromised, then there's a good chance that you can be compromised again through the same systems.
Yes.
So the best thing you can do, blow it all away, start again.
Yeah, okay, right. I had a lady ring me up the other day, and she says, I had some people over, whatever, and some guy stuck his USB into my computer, and I'm sure he's downloaded stuff, and obviously they're blueing now or something. So, and she says, I want you to tell me what was downloaded and when it was downloaded. And I went, oh,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
good
think
luck
that's
with
going to happen. I said, you're getting into like forensics and
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff. And I suppose that can happen. That forensic police can probably got tools that maybe be able to do stuff like that.
Yes,
But-
they have. One of the things about forensics is they have the capability of actually seeing what's in the memory and actually getting information out of the memory. But on top of that, they can actually look at the system, because what happens with computers is it doesn't clean itself up as it goes along.
Yeah.
So you'll always have fragments of what you've had open or what you've seen or what you've done on the internet, and all of those fragments are somewhere on either the swap file of the computer
Yes.
or in things like the hibernation file that you get when the system goes into hibernation.
Right.
And it doesn't actually rewrite the file. It doesn't wipe it and rewrite it. It just adds to it.
Yeah, okay.
So they can get a large amount of information out of a computer that people really don't understand.
Yeah, look, you see them, they're taking computers away, and and you just wonder what they can get off there, eh?
They can get a lot. They can
Yeah.
get a hell of a lot.
Is-
And although there are packages out there that clean up as you go along. Norton's got one that actually, if you delete that, it delete a file, it will delete it.
Right.
But it still doesn't delete the copies of the file that you may have in your memory. And again, you can get that
So-
information out of it.
Because even after you format a drive, there's still information there until it's written over.
Yes.
So I think Mac has got a military grade format. Do these things work, or are these just fancy?
Yes,
they do work.
Yeah,
okay.
We use, when we get hard drives back from clients that are concerned about this sort of thing. Most of them we just, as you said, we just reformat them a number of times. But there's an application that we put on a floppy disk or a USB that actually writes zeros and X's on all of the
Right.
the platters on a hard drive, and it does that 7 times. So it definitely does clear all the data from it,
Right.
and then you can then reformat it, or you can just throw it away. We also then send it to a company that actually pound it into dust, and we then give the client back their dust. This is your hard drive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How good is that?
Yeah, thank you very much, and you can now put this in the bin if you don't want it.
How much does that cost? As a matter of interest.
It's about $60 a kilo. So
You would have seen on the internet the Will It Blend videos.
I thought about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need one of those. We'll just run hard drives through it.
That's right, yeah, because they do everything. He started Will It Blend just to demonstrate his blenders.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
right.
Took
yeah.
off. He was just iPhones, probably hard drives, just chucking everything in there. So would you subscribe to the theory then? Say if you bought a new hard drive, would you do your 7 times 0 right, or you go, new hard drives? That's pretty safe. That's cool.
Most of the time, yes, depending on where you're getting it from. If you're getting it from a market, then I'd be a bit worried about what the information is on there. There are times when we've actually come across hard drives that people have actually given us and said, we bought this, and it has actually had the whole file structure of a computer on there. And we then format it and delete it and start again.
Yes.
But again, it's people do not realise there are a number of other areas in the real world where the criminals can get substantial information about you. One of them is the multifunction printers.
Yep.
Ones that have hard drives or have memory on them.
Right.
If people are printing intellectual property to those printers, there is a chance that information can be stored on the printer.
You're kidding.
And we have actually seen people at dumps go through printers and take out the chips that are in them.
Wow.
Again, it's something that you don't think about. And this is what people... When it comes to the cybercrime and cyber criminals, they are really thinking, how do I get into that information?
Yeah. If I see a hack in progress on the computer, somehow I might see a window open up or something. I've seen a visible sign.
Yes.
How am I going to stop this?
Turn off.
Yeah.
Literally unplug it.
Yes.
Unplug it from the network.
Yep.
And then turn it back on again. Okay,
Yep.
and put it into safe mode, and you can then clean it from there.
Yes.
But again, because if you've seen that and your antivirus hasn't gone off, then the system is already being compromised to a level where that information is now pretty important that you either make sure you've got a backup, which is one of the things that we swear by.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Back everything up if it's technical and it has electronics going through it.
Yes.
Then you need to make sure that if that electronics falls in the toilet or someone dumps a bucket of water over your laptop, that you can actually get the information back. We've been called into places and people have gone, oh no, we didn't back up because we didn't think about it because it was 2 years ago that we bought the computer. And you go, you've just lost all your email, you just lost all your photos, all those videos of your grandkids who've gone out the door.
Yes.
All of that information is gone because there is really no economical way of getting it back, and that's the big difference.
Yeah, and I think that's where people get stuck. Like when you say economical way, if there's photos on there, well, the economics sort of goes out the window a bit sometimes, and they just need it back, don't they? They just want things back.
Yep.
All right. So what can we do? How are we going to protect ourselves? What's the best way? Is there, say, different brands of routers to steer away from? Do we subscribe to routers that are monitored by a third party and things downloaded to them to update the firewall? What would be the best way to try and stop an attack on our business?
The thing that we recommend, even for home users, is you don't go to Dick Smith or Harvey Norman or any of those retail shops and buy the cheapest because it's the one that you can set up. Always go for the next level. So if instead of spending $60 on a router, spend $200 on a router. Because the more money you spend, the more secure the system is going to be.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay, and that's one of the things that we try to tell people.
I better go buy a router today. Spend some more money. Yes.
So you got one from a little one from Joe Blogs.
Oh, a little $40 one.
Sure. TP-Link is the other one.
The other ones.
The other one is if you're going to buy things like D-Links and Netgear and TP-Link, also be aware that they're made in China.
Right.
And most of the electronics coming out of China has got a backdoor built into their systems. So be very aware of it. Whereas if you go to Linksys, Cisco, FortiGate, even Palo Alto, for instance, Palo Alto, you're looking at somewhere between $700 and $1,000, which is not a big expense if you're a business.
Yeah.
But the capability means that you are a lot more secure. They will pick up things coming through your firewall, bad links that are attached to malware websites, that sort of information, because their systems are being updated actually regularly to the level of even Linksys, Cisco, FortiGate, they do a regular update every day or every 12 hours.
To the actual router?
Yes. And it's not so much the router itself, it's the scanning engine at the back end.
Right, so it's not...
So they've got a very similar sequence to how our antivirus updates.
Right.
Okay, so it's got an engine that it uses, and the updates come down for the engine every 4 hours, 6 hours.
So do you
some of the high-end routers do that as well.
So do you typically have to subscribe for these updates, or they
No,
just...
most of them are free.
Yeah, okay. And do you have to physically go in and look for the updates, or there's a
No.
setting that says just update?
It just updates automatically. They have a specific place on the
Wow.
internet. Their routers are specifically set up to target those systems.
Yeah.
So it'll go. Is there an update there? If there is,
Right.
download, install, bang.
Oh, I've never known that. That's very interesting. Yeah. So you reckon the modems made out of the US is probably the best?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Even though Cisco at one stage forayed into getting stuff made in China, they actually brought it back to the States.
Right. Right.
Because they realised that there were things happening, even right down to what happened with Apple and the development kit that was developed recently,
Yeah.
where the applications were created on a development kit that was hacked.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so everything that they created in that development kit had the capability of being compromised.
Yeah.
And
okay.
that's how you have to think about these guys, because they are out there.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So I think the best way to keep yourself secured is, get a modem / router that that updates itself. But in saying that, I guess just another question has come to mind. So I've got a Big Pond cable modem.
Yes.
That's Netgear. So that might
Yes.
be made in China.
Yes.
So I can't move away from this cable modem because that's the only modem that'll hook into the internet.
Yes.
So you're saying put something on the other side of it.
Yeah, turn it into a dumb modem. So
Yes.
literally, it's doing is connecting between your home office
Yes.
and the internet,
Right.
and then put something in between that.
Yes, an American version.
Yeah, an American something or other that's well worth the money. But a good router will still set you back, thousands of dollars, but it can also cost you $200, $300. And $200, $300 really does increase your security just in that area.
Right. Okay.
The other thing about connection devices is wireless access points.
Yeah.
Okay, wireless access points. If you've got a wireless access point, you need to be you cannot use WEP as security, because it's been cracked, and someone on a drive-wire bike can literally get into your access point in about 2 minutes.
Right.
But if you use WPA and you use a really complicated password that is relatively long, so we're talking longer than 10 characters,
Right. Okay.
then you are making yourself more secure. Now, the reason why you need to secure your access point is two reasons. One is that if someone knows you're using your password, then they can then use your system to piggyback other attacks on other people.
Yes.
So, and it's relatively easy to do. I've got stuff on my iPhone. I've got stuff on my Android tablet that I actually set up to walk past places and tell me what their SSID is, what their password could be, all of this information. And
right.
some of it is pretty scary stuff.
Yeah. Jeez, it's amazing, like what can be done, isn't it? And what people are after, what they can get, and why they can get it. All right, so I think hopefully that's given everyone a bit of an idea of how to create a good, secure base for your business or home office. Anyway,
Yes.
I think I might have to look at my.
Sorry, Glenn.
Point.
Didn't mean to scare you.
My little TP link. Yes. But because I know there's a couple of businesses I look after, and they've just got ADSL D-Link or TP link thing straight into the thing. So you would even steer away from like just switches made China, just dumb switches?
Not so much dumb switches, mainly because there's dumb switches. Literally, all it's doing is catching information and passing it out through the holes,
right.
Which is not a big deal. But if you've got a smart switch, one that actually needs a username and password and is things like virtual LANs and all that sort of stuff, then I would then again err on the side of caution and go to the next level.
Yeah.
It doesn't, again, Linksys, again, has a very good range of switches and routers and modems and everything else. So there is a price comparability that you can look at. And as long as it's a gigabit switch, then and it's from a reputable
Yeah.
company, it should be okay.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of episode 2. So you can catch Roger if you want to tweet him at SME Security, or you can go and visit his website at MI Consulting.
RNI.
I need better glasses.
Yeah.
rniconsulting.com.au. That's right.
Thank you.
And you can tweet me or contact me at Aussie Tech Heads or at Glenn Goodman, webpage aussietechheads.com.au. And the show is brought to you by RNI Consulting and also athwebhosting.com.au. So that's great, Roger. Thanks very much for another informative episode. That's excellent.
No worries at all.
And we must always end on our mantra, which is
cybersecurity is my problem.
very good. Thanks, Roger. We'll see you
Thank you,
next
Glenn.
time.
Much appreciated.
Cheers.